Welcome back to another episode of Sports Unlimited, where we dive deep into the exhilarating world of sports. In today's episode, we're going to have only one topic because look who's visiting us today. Yes, my daughter, Dakota Grace, is here with us to talk about the NFL draft and teams, what they need, and kind of going into the draft. We're going to have a deep discussion about this. So, prepare for an episode packed with insight, speculation, and excitement. This is Sports Unlimited, and I'm thrilled to have you on board. So let's jump right in. Thank you for that, Panda. And of course, wardrobe change. See, Dakota's wearing her Tom Brady number 12 jersey. Why? Because she's the GOAT of keeping her daddy up at night and driving my insanity away or inward. I don't know. Either ways, though, she is the GOAT. So, thank you for that, babe, there. And now, like Panda said, we will be talking about what each NFL team needs going into the NFL draft and kind of talking about what each is going to do. So, let us go ahead and get started with the Cardinals. So right now they're currently in need of a wide receiver, defensive line, and cornerback. So the Cardinals have a prime opportunity to accelerate their rebuild, through this upcoming draft. They have a total of 11 picks, including 6 within the top 90 selections. All right. So because of this, they can address critical positions on both and in the short term for the future, which is an amazing spot any team wants to be in. So in the first round, they could go ahead and select Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver out of Ohio State, or, maybe say, hey, we're open to trading the 4th pick and, getting some more picks for the future. Maybe one of those quarterback-needing teams might want to move up, Vikings. So, given how in the past they have moved through the draft, it would be surprising to see them not trade down, but stay where they're at. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a very, very strong prospect, but it's one of those things where we're going to have to wait and see. All right? Next, we have the Falcons. So, the Falcons need the edge, offensive line, and cornerback. I was going to add quarterback here, but they do have Kirk Cousins under contract for at least 2 years minimum, unless he decides to retire. And I don't think right now they should spend the money on that. So, with the first 7 picks expected to focus on offense, the Falcons are actually in a poised spot to take one of the best defensive players on the board. Now, that I've been saying this a million and one time, and so has everybody else. Alabama's Dallas Turner is the top candidate here. He has an impressive 19.6% pass rush with win rate from last season. So to say they're not going to take him to boost up a defense that was already a top 10 defense last year, it would be crazy. There's plenty of depth in the offensive line and in the cornerback market to get somebody later in the draft. Plus, I know they're still going to get another wide receiver. I'm not going to say they're deep, but they're good enough to go get them later. Next, I have the Ravens, who need an offensive tackle, a wide receiver, and a cornerback. So, let's be serious, all right? I was going to put running back on here as well, but they did upgrade themselves by getting running back Derrick Henry. Either ways, though, I don't think they need to waste their money on that. Go get you what they really need, which is weapons and protection for Lamar Jackson, okay? Even though they do also need depth at many other positions. So, it wouldn't be an argument to say that they are going to take the best player available, because they are in a pretty prime spot to do that. So, we'll see what happens in that situation. Next, I have the Bills. So, the Bills are in an interesting position. Okay? We all knew that they were going to take a wide receiver in the first round, no matter what, even though I think they should go in the cornerback and the safety, considering they basically let go of everybody in that position. So, with the trading away of Stephon Diggs, everyone knows that they will draft that now in the first round. Like, it's a guaranteed for sure thing. But will it be enough to help them stay as contenders I don't think so. I think they need to go in the defensive side of the ball in the first round of the draft so that way, at least we can say they got something out of all this. Next, we have the Panthers, who need a wide receiver, a tight end, and an edge. Now, the Panthers have done a great and amazing job adding pieces through free agency. So to say that they have major needs, it's not really a need, but it would be good to have younger candidates, younger players to connect with these older players so that they continue to succeed. All right? And since they do not have a selection in the first round, no, but they do have 4 in the first 101st selections, all right, picks, I'm sorry, there should be some opportunity to maybe maneuver themselves back up into the first round or up and down within the first 101st picks. It's just one of those things that they need depth, they need this situation, go out and do what you need to do. Plain and simple. And of course, I have the Chicago Bears, boo, who are quarterback needy, wide receiver needy, edge, and offensive line. So, the Chicago Bears seem, set on securing Caleb Williams as the number 1 overall pick. Okay? General Manager Ryan Poles has notably bolstered the team's offense through acquisitions like Keenan Allen and Gerald Everett, to compete against DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. I don't think they're going to compete. I think they're all going to mesh very well, and they're going to be just more weapons for whoever is at quarterback next year, which obviously we believe is Caleb Williams. Additionally, the Bears have fortified their running back room by adding DeAndre Swift, who's a very capable running back. All right? So, alongside Khalil Herbert and Roncho Johnson, which I think DeAndre Swift is going to be the number 1 there, while Khalil Herbert taking the number 2 spot. Still, very good running back room. Now, the question is, what will it do with the rest of the draft? Go get more weapons, go get young guys that will be able to grow with Caleb Williams and hopefully maybe not make him as much of a bust as we all know he's going to be. So, yeah. Okay, now we have the Bengals. So, the Bengals are in an interesting spot considering that they need a wide receiver and offensive line, but have done some of these additions in the offseason, which is a really great addition, okay? Really great thing that they've done. So, with that being said, the Bengals have been, like I said, very active by adding Geno Stone as one of the most significant signings of their offseason. So, who's a veteran safety, addresses a very strong need to their young secondary who has been vulnerable due to experience. All right? So, they're also deciding to sign Zach Moss in the trade from Joe Mixon. Does kind of question me because to me that is a downgrade from Joe Mixon, but hey, at least they have somebody capable in the backfield. Now, they also added tight end Mike Gesicki, who adds depth to their tight end core, and plus Mike Gesicki is known for being just a good tight end. So, they're really in a prime spot to really go out to the draft and really go get an offensive lineman or a wide receiver, or even go into the situation of saying, hey, who's the best player available? Because of how well they did in the draft. Next, I have the Browns. So they needed defensive end on the inside, a linebacker, an interior offensive lineman. So it is safe to say that the Browns have done a lot in the offseason, okay? Arguably, they've created one of the best NFL rosters currently in the NFL. Of course, that's outside of quarterback because Deshaun Watson has played like shit since he left Houston. Come on. Now, like the Bengals, they are in a great spot to really say, hey, I know we need all these things, but who is the best player available currently right now? Let's take him. That's how good they've been in the offseason, and honestly, that's the way it should be. Next, I have the Dallas Cowboys who need help everywhere. All right? Just everywhere. I'm not even going to try to go into details on it. All right? Plain and simple, they have Dak Prescott's contract over their heads, Tyron Smith has left, so they need somebody to replace him. They need to re-sign CeeDee Lamb, and they need to get some more wide receivers because beyond CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks, we have no one. All right, fine. We signed Eric Hendricks, which is a linebacker, which is great, but still, all right, they just need to do a lot. Go out, get you the best offensive lineman in the first round, and then go ahead and basically go offensive line, wide receiver, round 1 offensive line, round 2 wide receiver, round 3 defense, any defense you want, round 4 more defense. No, I'm sorry, offensive line again. Round 5 you can do whatever the hell you want after that. Next is the Broncos. So the Broncos need a quarterback, a center, an edge, and a cornerback. So when they let Russell Wilson go, we realize that they're going to go for a quarterback in the first round. Yes, they have Jaron Statham as the likely starter for 2024, but they also have a lot of different needs. So do I firmly believe that they're going to trade up to the top 5 to get a quarterback? Yes. All right. Plus, they also had let go of Lloyd Crushberry, Joey Jewell, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Simon, and they've only brought in Brandon Jones to replace some of these guys. So I firmly believe it's going to be an interesting draft for the Broncos. Next, I have the Lions. So they need an interior offensive lineman, an edge, a cornerback, and a safety. So the Lions had a strong 2023 season, above and beyond what anyone could have asked for. All right, but they still need to improve their roster. So they may want to see who falls to them at the end of the first round, as they have already done a lot of great things in the offseason. All right, now they did let go of a significant piece in Josh Reynolds, who was a great wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 guy. All right, plus general manager Brandon Hose has prioritized the defense in the offseason. So to say that maybe they should go with the 23rd pick overall, go on offense, sure, there's a lot of great wide receivers and offensive linemen, but to go ahead and get one of the best defensive linemen out there at the time, I mean, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. I think the Lions are in a good spot right now. Next, I have the Packers, who need guard help, actually most of the offensive line, and cornerback. So with David Bakhtiari departing the Packers and John Runyon signing with the Giants, the offensive line is one of the biggest concerns for the Packers. They need this, okay? So, they did have Rashard Walker, who was a backup for Bakhtiari last year, but not Bakhtiari level, So it is what it is. But he is a good option to plug in right now. Now, considering everything else, I believe that they're going to stick with most of the rounds trying to bolster up that offensive line. And maybe in the second round, go take one of the best corners like Jordan Morgan from Arizona or somebody else. Or maybe one of the left tackles out there. Honestly, I think in the second round, taking Jordan Morgan would be the greatest spot for them because he's a strong pass blocking corner with an 87.3 PFF grade last season. So that could bolster up that offense, that defense secondary who's facing against top wide receivers in that division. Next, I have the Texans, who their only real need right now is at cornerback. All right, it used to be wide receiver and cornerback, but with that trade for Stephon Diggs, they did exactly what they needed to do to help their second-year quarterback. All right, now they did limit Diggs. The Diggs deal does limit it to 1 year of him, but still they can always resign him next year during the season. All right, now what I think, because they do not have a top 10 pick, it just depends on how they're gonna do. So I firmly believe that they're going to go after a cornerback, one of the best ones, or even after a offensive lineman, just to bolster up the depth, or maybe one of the best defensive players at the time of the roster. They're basically in a spot to basically be free and do whatever they so wish. And now we have the Colts. And speaking of the Colts, look at her. She is asleep. Apparently, I'm boring. It is what it is. Can never make her happy. But we're still going to keep going. So now we have the Colts. So with Anthony Richard coming back in for 2024 as their quarterback, it is going to be a promising season for the Colts. All right, they re-signed one of their top wide receivers. Plus, they got Joe Flacco as a notable signing to basically mentor, Richardson. So the Colts' primary situation should be the defense. Hence, why they need a cornerback, safety, and an edge. All right. So now, I do think that they're going to improve, and there's going to be a lot of things to go here. But I also believe that they should also look at this offensive line class for the first round. It's just going to be really interesting to see how they do this. But they're in a prime spot, in my opinion. Next, we have the Jaguars, who need cornerback as the main concern for the first round, and then wide receiver, offensive line, amongst others. So why do I say that cornerback is a more position? Look what everything the AFC South has done. They have added so many weapons in that division that to say that they don't need to add to that secondary is ridiculous. Plus, the Jaguars secondary was one of the weakest in that division last year. Hence why they're probably going to go with Cooper DeJean from Iowa, or maybe Nate Wiggins from Clemson, or Kool-Aid from Alabama. One of those three, I can't think of the other guy from Alabama, but one of those four players will be Torrey Arnold, who would be great, or even Quinyon Michael. I actually haven't taken Quinyon Michael from Toledo in the first round. Next, we have the two-time Super Bowl champs in the Chiefs, who obviously need a wide receiver. They need help in the secondary, in the cornerback, and they just need somebody at the edge to help and open up Chris Jones. So, why do I say that? Re-signing Chris Young was the most significant thing that they needed to do for that defense since Patrick Mahomes got in the offense and Travis Kelce. All right? They needed him there. He's the pivotal point of that defense. All right? While securing Marquise Brown to a one-year deal does benefit them. He is a very good wide receiver. He's really an upgrade to what they have since the loss of Tyreek Hill. All right? Plus, with the ongoing situation with Rashid Rice, who's obviously out of the league after his stupidities, really wide receiver is the best place to go with the 32nd pick, which I have them taking Lard Marquise, I believe that's his name, out of Georgia. Oh, I'm sorry, Lat McConkey out of Georgia. No, or maybe probably go take an offensive lineman, or maybe one of the cornerbacks. Honestly, you can't go wrong here. They're in such a good spot with the 32nd pick, and their needs are where the depth in this draft are, that they could even say, hey, we're shopping the 32nd pick. Who wants to move back up? We'll happily take somebody in the second round. Maybe somebody like the Panthers. You never know. Next, I have the Raiders, who need a quarterback, a linebacker, an offensive lineman, and a cornerback. So, yes, the Raiders are trusting Aiden O'Connell to start in 2024, who's been prudent and great since 2023. He did beat the Chiefs very convincingly, all right? But they do need to go get somebody for the future, because he is not the long-term answer. Now, why do I say this? Well, because I do have them taking a quarterback with their pick. They also need help with the secondary, like a cornerback, all right? Quinnen Michaels is there. Teron Arnold will be there, amongst others. Now, they did bolster up that defense by adding Christian Wilkinson from Miami, which does address who addresses the weakness that they had with the rush defense and the pass defense. All right, pass rush and the run defense. Sorry. Now, they also did bid farewell to Josh Jacobs. All right, which means they're gonna be in the room for a running back, but that is not a first round situation. I firmly believe that they should go after one of the offensive linemen that's already there, or a quarterback, preferably, and kind of just work from there. Next, I have the Chargers, who need a wide receiver, a cornerback, defensive tackle, offensive tackle, and an edge. So, Jim Harbaugh has really set his tone for this team through the offseason, okay? He's been physical. He's very physical, run-oriented approach. really showed what he wants to do. Hence why he acquired Gus Edwards and Will Dissly. All right. However, because they're in salary cap hell, they had to get rid of Keenan Williams and Mike Williams, who both resigned with other teams. Now, that means that really, with their top 10 pick, they should really go after one of the best wide receivers there, which more than likely could be Marvin Harrison Jr., which wouldn't be a bad addition to really bolster up this this offense, assuming that maybe the Cardinals don't move away from that spot. Next, I have the Rams, who need a wide receiver, a defensive end on the inside, interior defensive end, defense, quarterback, and a cornerback. So, Matthew Stafford is going into 2024 as 36 years old, which is not old, but in terms is old. All right. Now, the team acknowledges the importance of finding his replacement. So, that is why I think that they should really look at a quarterback in this draft, considering the next few drafts aren't going to be the best. And unless you're in the top 5 pick, you're not going to get one of the most talented players. Plus, with the addition of Aaron Donald retiring, really, you don't have to take a defense. You can take one of the defenses like Texas Byron Murphy II or Illinois Johnny Newton, who are great players to replace or help try to replace Hall of Fame Aaron Donald. But we'll just have to see. Next, I have the Dolphins, who are in need of a tight end, offensive line, interior defensive end, safety, wide receiver, and an edge, and of course a corner. So they're kind of in the room for everyone right now. So the Dolphins have the capability and their roster right now to really make it back to the playoffs. But they do face a lot of challenges, both offensively and defensively. Right, Terron Armstrong's age and injury history raises a lot of concerns for the left tackle position, while the departure of Christian Wilkins does leave a huge void in the defensive line. But the added to all that is that they're in a tight cap situation. They're right on the border of hell. So by getting rid of Kendall Fuller by adding Kendall Fuller to replace Xavier Howard, added Aaron Brewer to potential fill the void of Connor Williams, could have helped them, but I think in this draft, they're probably going to go offense, just to help Tua Tagovailoa. The Vikings need a guard, center, quarterback, and a running back. Look, let's be serious. Everybody has, the Vikings taking J.J. McCarthy and moving up to the draft. Plus, with head coach Kevin O'Connell leading the offense, and playmaker like Justin Jefferson and C.J. Hutchinson, Minnesota would be dumb not to take one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the draft left after the top 3 are gone. So, with that being said, they do need a lot of other things, but adding more defensive talent later in the draft to pair and boost up that defense might be the best way to go right now. But for sure, first round quarterback, no say, no how. And now to the Patriots, like my sleeping daughter over there was showing, they need a quarterback, offensive tackle, and wide receiver. Look, Coach Mayo has done a lot of great things with this team. Okay, he brought in Jacob Brissett as a veteran backup. He got Michael Onwenu, Hunter Henry, and Josh Uche. Just to retain some key players. Which means that now, with the 3rd pick in the draft, they could truly go after either Drake May from North Carolina or LSU's Jaden Daniels, whoever's really left in that pick. Now, they could trade down for a plethora of picks, which I would not be surprised if they do, because they are trying to be very, very prudent with the scared of everybody. I'm sorry, no. Well, you know what I mean with this draft. So it could be, but to miss out on one of the top 2 left quarterbacks would be stupid. Jaden Daniels or Jermaine would be are in great position in this with this team. Next, I have the Saints, who need a quarterback, offensive tackle, wide receiver, and guard. So the Saints are gearing up to stay competitive in the NFC South, especially considering how the Falcons have bolstered up their team. All right, who are really the biggest threat. Plus, the Buccaneers have really gotten back a lot of pieces. So they're really trying to figure out what to do here because they've let go of a lot of things. They've retained players like Demarius David and extended Tyrann Mathieu. No, plus linebacker Will Gay Jr. bolsters up their run defense, and Cedric Wilson adds depth to the wide receiver core. But they did let go of Michael Thomas, and really in their position, they need cheap talent. So go after an offensive tackle. You have Derek Carr. Just keep playing him for now. And kind of go from there. Next, I have the Giants, who obviously need a quarterback, a wide receiver, an offensive tackle, a linebacker, and a safety, and of course a guard, and of course a million other things. But the Giants have made savvy moves in the offseason to address various needs, such as adding Drew Luck as more of insurance than really the future to Daniel Jones. They've acquired running back David Singletary to, sort of replace the hole that Saquon Barkley left. Now, they do need more, but one of their most significant moves was trading for Pro Bowler Brian Burns, who, again, he's a Pro Bowler. He actually did great with the Panthers. All right? And despite the uncertainty at quarterback, the Giants are probably not going to take a quarterback in the first round. They're probably going to go and get a wide receiver, go get more weapons, probably booster up that offensive line, especially considering that addition of Brian Burns, who bolsters up the defense. And mind you, their defense wasn't bad this year. It really wasn't. It was actually pretty good. All right, not the best, but still pretty good. Now we're going to stick in New York with the Jets. So they need a wide receiver, offensive tackle, and safety. Look, the goal here is to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy. They're getting him back. All right? Now, what did they do with that? They went and added Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses, and John Simpson. Additionally, they've been proactive in acquiring talent such as Hanson Riddick and Mike Williams. All right? Which means with the 10th overall pick, they really could go either ways. But let's be serious, they're gonna go and take the dynamic option here in Brock Bowers as the 10th pick just to give Rodgers another weapon. Let's be serious about that. Now for the Eagles, who need a cornerback, linebacker, and safety. So the Eagles have gone through some significant changes here in this offseason. Okay? Now they're wanting to return to the championship caliber that they had, the year before. So how do they do this? No, they are extending contracts to players like Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson, while trading away older guys like Hanson Riddick. No, they also brought promising talent like Bryce Huff and added Saquon Barkley to the offense, that was already pretty bolsterous. All right, they also returned C.J. Gardner-Johnson to strengthen the secondary and now with the potential draft picks being where they're at, I think they're in a prime spot to say, hey, let's take the best player available, which is actually a very great position. But I think they're going to go offensive line. Next, I have the Steelers, who need center, wide receiver, offensive tackle, and interior offensive lineman. Look, they acquired two great quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. One for now, one for the future. Okay? And they did it without a lot of money and a lot of draft picks taken away. So they didn't break the bank here. All right. Plus, their defense was upgraded with the additional addings of Patrick Quinn, Patrick Quinn comes from the Ravens, amongst others. All right. They are kind of stuck with Wilson's contract pricing of $1.2 million because of the offset, which is still kind of a lot, but still, either ways. All right. General Manager Omar Khan's decision of making has been pretty astute. I like his decision making. All right. Now let's be serious. The Steelers are gonna need an offensive tackle and a center. All right. By trading away Deontay Jones, that also weakens the receiving group. But still, adding Van Jefferson and Quez Watkins does kind of help them, but not enough to what they need. I think they're going to go really with an offensive lineman here to protect Russell Wilson as a starting quarterback, and in the future, Justin Fields, and then go after a wide receiver, in the later rounds. Next, I have the 49ers, who need an offensive tackle, a guard, and a cornerback. So the 49ers are in position as front runners in the NFC once again this next coming season. Okay, they're still boasting one of the top skills position players and strongest defensive players in the NFL. Okay, plus with Brock Purdy demonstrating that he's not just the last pick in the draft, but he's actually somebody we should take serious. Really looking at at depth and at starting position is what they should do now. Now, they are going to probably bolster up that secondary with one of the best cornerbacks in the draft this year, but do not be surprised if they wait to take in the second round a cornerback while focusing on maybe a wide receiver here or an offensive tackle, depending on what happens with Brandon Ayuk. Next, I have the Seattle Seahawks, who need a guard, a linebacker, an offensive tackle, and an interior offensive lineman. So, let's be serious, all right? They're not giving up on Geno Smith. It's the truth, okay? But their defense has been a total shit show in the past few years. Now, they did make strategic moves by acquiring linebackers Tyler Johnson and Jerome Baker, along with McDonald, who are going to help McDonald's defensive philosophy. But it's still not enough. All right, the Seahawks are probably going to consider going offensive line and taking Oregon center Jackson Powers-Johnson with the 16th overall pick. But do not be surprised if maybe they go with Washington's Troy Fatuanu if he's available at that spot, or if they're both gone, maybe go defense. Now I have the Buccaneers, who I thought were going to need quarterback, but they re-signed Baker Mayfield and they actually need cornerback, interior offensive lineman, and an edge. All right. Now, they did make a lot of significant moves in the offseason. Like I said, they re-signed Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans to long-term deals, or sort of long-term deals, and they kept safety Jordan Whitehead to strengthen the defensive backfield, okay, which pairs him great with Antonio Winfield Jr., okay, so that's going to be a formidable safety duo, all right, but, again, they still need to do a lot of things. No, their focus really should be during the draft is keeping Mayfield safe. All right, keeping him continue. Of course, there are some salary cap challenges in this situation, but still, looking ahead, the primary need lies at bolstering that interior offensive line, making it likely that that's what they're going to target, maybe one of the centers or guards in this class. Depending on how they go from there, it's really what they said. They also signed Randy Gregory as added depth, but that doesn't really surprise me in this situation. Offensive line is where they're going to go. Next, I have the Titans, who need an offensive tackle, defensive end, edge, safety, and potentially a quarterback. Depends on what happens with Will Levis. So we all know Will Levis is going to kick off the 2024 season as a starting quarterback for them, and with head coach Brian Callahan, the team should take some significant strides because he is a very good, talented quarterback coach and head coach now. Now, plus the acquisition of Calvin Ridley in free agency does bolster up their roster and does blow a real hurt to the Jacksonville Jaguars in their division. So this move does elevate on third-year wide receiver Treylon Burks. So that does help him to open up and really be who he wants to be. However, the most pressing need right now lies at left tackle. Okay? I firmly believe that they're going to take Notre Dame's Joe Alt if they do not trade down. But do not be surprised if they do end up trading down. Alright? They're in the prime spot for a lot of this. And of course, last and surely not least, we have the Commanders, who need a quarterback, offensive tackle, and cornerback. Now, let's be serious. If for some whatever weird freaking reason the Chicago Bears take Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., Spencer Rattler with the first overall pick, the Commanders are going to take Caleb Williams with the number 2 pick. It's the truth. All right? Now, they more than likely they're going to take either J.J. Daniels or Drake May. Great positions. Plus, they did a lot to add a lot of depth by adding things like Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Neil Allegary, Tyler Bidaes, Armstrong, Dorrance Armstrong, Bobby Wagner, Franklin Louvi. No, so it's really in this. They're really in a position where with the number 2 pick, it's gonna be nothing but quarterback, and everything else in the draft is literally going to be depth. They did a lot, and I'm so impressed by the Commanders that I have them winning the NFC East next year over the Eagles and the Cowboys, because the Eagles are in a kind of a weird spot right now. Still contenders, but And of course, the Cowboys are shit right now. So the Commanders are my pick for that. But either ways, that is all. That is my 2 cents on that. Let me know what you guys think. So Panda, take us to our next thing. Well, as we wrap up this show of the Sports Unlimited, I hope you guys enjoyed my 2 cents on what each NFL team needs going into the NFL draft. All right. As for my daughter, I think that she thought I was boring because she slept through most of the show, but that's all right. She does need her nap, and that's very important, as we all know. Of course, thank you for joining us on this journey of speculation, analysis, and excitement. If you enjoyed this episode, please, guys, subscribe, rate, leave a review. She'll enjoy it. I'll enjoy it. Your feedback is invaluable as we continue to bring your latest and greatest in sports. As always, this is Hershey, and this is Dakota, signing off from Sports Unlimited. Until next time, sports fans, stay passionate, and see you next time. Bye-bye.